Hi, my name is Eloise. I am a Cambridge Law graduate, former corporate lawyer, now admissions consultant and an author and a psychotherapist. And today I'm going to be talking about reading lists for law undergraduate applications. So what is a reading list for an undergraduate application for law, and why would you need this? Well, if you've seen our previous video about writing your law personal statement, if not, go and watch that now because it has a little bit of background about why this is important. But overall, the reason you need a reading list, or the reason you should be including some books on your personal statement or reading books to prepare for your application, is because for law, you're doing a little bit of extra work to make sure that you're up to speed with the subject at an academic level. This is because most people, at least in the UK, don't study law below degree level. So you need to do a little bit more academic preparation in order to bring your awareness of the law degree up to the level that it needs to be. So who needs to include reading list books on their personal statement specifically for law? Well, my answer to that would be everyone who's applying to a law degree, but most specifically, it will be students applying to the top tier universities. So anyone applying to Oxford and Cambridge, anyone applying to the London universities, so King's, UCL and LSE, anyone applying to top tier Russell Group, so Durham, Manchester, Bristol, Exeter, anywhere where you feel like it's going to be a competitive application, it's definitely worth including some books in your personal statement to help you stand out. So in terms of how these books are used, I would say there are two main places in the application journey that you'll be specifically using your books. Number one is the personal statement, and number two is the interview. Now, if you don't have an interview, it is still really important to have the books both for your personal statement, but also just for your general development before you start the law degree, because reading these books will not only elevate your awareness of the course and what it entails and really prepare you to go in on day one and feel really confident about your progress as a law student, but it will also make sure that law is actually the right subject for you. Now, a lot of people have an idea of what law is, maybe based on a TV program they saw or something on social media, or maybe you've seen images of lawyers doing things in court and you think, that's what I want to do. The law degree, firstly, is not the only way to become a lawyer, so it's not necessarily that you need to study law in order to do that. And secondly, the law degree does not immediately qualify you to become a practicing lawyer, so it is not a vocational degree in the same way that the apprenticeship route actually trains you to become a qualified lawyer. This means that the law degree may not be the right fit for you, even if you want to be a lawyer. So it's really important to understand what the law degree is actually doing, the kind of things that you'll be studying on the law degree, and just to make sure that you do really have a passion for the academic side of law. So where should you start with finding books and finding other materials to talk about on your personal statement? The number one place to look is, again, the university pages that you will be applying to. So the university website, primarily, the law faculty pages, and then any kind of resources that are listed as really good things to read before you apply, or undergraduate reading lists for law. Most universities do have some kind of resources list, especially for places like Cambridge and Oxford. There are specific resources lists for the university as a whole, and then often colleges will have an additional reading list. So if you're applying to a specific college, you need to check not only the university website, the law faculty website, but also your specific college website. Aside from checking your university websites, other great places to get recommendations, apart from here, which is going to be a great source for you, but other good places include lists online, so you might find articles that are like top 10 books that all law students should read, things like that. Also, open days are a great time to ask. If you can ask a faculty member, what do you recommend that I read? Or if you can ask another law student that you know, or someone who's studying law, what do you recommend that I read to get up to speed with the law degree? How many books should you read and have on your personal statement? I normally think it's between 2 and 3 is probably a good number of books to start with. You don't want to overwhelm yourself with your law degree preparations at the expense of your school subjects, because obviously your predicted grades and then your actual grades are the number one thing that's going to get you your offer for university. But alongside your studies, I would try and take maybe 2 or 3 books from the reading list and incorporate them into your daily routine. I almost think for most people, especially if you're applying to an incredibly competitive university or top tier universities, I think it makes sense to see your law preparation as almost like an additional subject that you have. So if you're studying 3 A-levels, maybe see law preparation and your admissions journey as the 4th thing that you're going to be doing within your curriculum. And so that gives you the opportunity to really carve out a space for it and protect your time for that, instead of just making it some extra thing that you have to do on the side. It's also important to note that your law preparation takes place within a pretty condensed period of time. So you're going to be really focusing on your application normally from summer of the year before up to October the 15th if you're an Oxbridge applicant, or up to December if you are a general applicant for other Russell Group or other universities. And then you normally will have your interviews. If you're interviewing at Oxford or Cambridge, that will happen around the first weeks of December. So I would see your condensed and focused law preparation is happening from the summer before all the way through to December of that year. After that, you can really focus back in on your school subjects, because obviously you'll need like exceptional A levels to make your offers. So I think then it makes sense from December or January to focus back in on your school subjects until the summer. And then from the summer to the next year, unless you're deferring, in which case you've got a bit more time. But for those who are going straight in, you've got summer to October of the following year where you start your university year, to then go back towards your studies and focus in on other things you might want to learn before you start your course. So that means that even if you can only read 2 to 3 books in that initial period of study from the summer before to December where you have your interviews, that's fine. You can still have additional books and read them after you finish your A levels in that period before you start your university studies. And a lot of these books will continue to be useful into your first year of university as well. So I'm going to give you a list of 6 recommended books that you could check out. And by no means is this comprehensive, and you should definitely search for other books and resources if you feel like it's a better fit for your interests in other directions. But these are some foundational texts that a lot of students have found helpful and that often get recommended on open days. Number 1 is a book called What About Law? And this is by Barnard, O'Sullivan and Virgo. So this is a book that is often associated with Cambridge University because the authors are all Cambridge University faculty members, which means that often it's talked about on the Cambridge University open days, or you'll hear Cambridge students talk about it, but it is a good book regardless of which universities you're applying to. What About Law is a real overview of the legal system, up to date with legal changes that have happened in the last few years, especially shifts in things like constitutional law. And it offers just a really comprehensive understanding of law as an academic subject, including things that you might talk about at interview. Number 2 is a book called Letters to a Law Student. And this is by McBride, who also has a lot of other resources for law students. So you can check out, I think, his website. Probably if you put his name into Google, you'll find other courses and things that he offers for aspiring law students. So that's definitely worth doing. Letters to a Law Student is written in a really accessible way. So if you're a little bit intimidated about reading a textbook, it's written in letter format, which makes it feel very personable and warm, and it's not too intimidating if you're a bit nervous about picking up a law textbook. The third book is called Learning the Law, and this is by Williams. This book has been around for a very long time. When I was applying to law, I picked up this book and read it as well. And I remember keeping it into my first year of studying law and finding it still helpful at that point. And this is because it really has a lot of technical information about things like the way the court hierarchy is set up and how cases move through the judicial system, as well as aspects of constitutional law or important case law that you might need to know. It's actually quite a small-sized book, although it is extremely dense. So it's a good one to, if you're moving around, if you're on work experience and you need something to read on the way there or back, if you're traveling around and you want to take a book with you on your summer before applications, it's a great one just to have. The fourth book is Eating People Wrong? By Hutchinson. And this is a look at big legal cases and the way that they've shaped the law. So if you're interested in case law, or you feel really compelled by stories within law, this is a great one to start with. This will also give you really good understanding of the interaction of law and things like ethics and morality and philosophy. So it goes really into the history of these cases and how they developed, as well as the way they've impacted the legal system today. For those of you who are interested a little bit more in legal philosophy, a great book to start with is The Rule of Law by Bingham. And again, this is a bit more on the jurisprudence side, so the philosophy of law. But if that is something that is of interest to you, this book is a great way to approach some of these bigger ideas that can seem quite high level, but Bingham really brings them down into an understandable and practical explanation. The Rule of Law is another great concept that might come up at interview, or you might want to discuss on your personal statement, both as to how it shaped the law up until today, but also really importantly as to how these ideas are going to shape the law moving forwards. The sixth book is Understanding Law by Adams and Brownsword, and this is one from the Oxford reading list currently. So again, if you're applying to Oxford or if you're applying to a university that specifically recommends a book like this, great to have one that matches your top choice university. This book offers an overview of law, so a general comprehension of how the legal system is and how laws operate. And from there, you might find an interest in a more specific area of law, and then you could get another book related to that other area of law if you find a deeper interest there. Aside from books, and again, that was not a comprehensive list or all you need to know for your law degree, so please do start with one of those books if you're feeling stuck as to where to start, and then develop your own interest from there. But aside from books, there are other things you can also look at. On the supercurricular pages for additional resources related to law, there are often podcasts recommended. One of these podcasts was previously called Law in Action, is now called The Law Show. It's a BBC podcast about law. It's a great one, especially if you're looking for specific episodes that relate to a particular interest you have. Let's say on your personal statement, you're talking about the evolution of constitutional law and the difference between a written and an unwritten constitution. You might be able to go on the Law Show website and find a specific episode that relates to that particular topic. It's also a really good idea to keep up with general legal news. So you can do this by reading the law pages of any website, for example, The Guardian or The Times. The Financial Times often has some great legal analysis integrated with business or politics if you're interested in that. You can also find updates about how the law is evolving through places like the Law Commission, which often publish papers about how they think the law could be in the future or how the law might be shaped by things like AI or technology. And of course, the law is all around us every day, as all aspiring law students know. So there's always something that's going on in the news related to law. And this might not be a specific law-focused story, like it might not be a case, but it could be. But even if it's not specifically law-focused, there is normally a legal element to much of the news that we see every single day. So for example, if you're reading or watching news about trade disputes, you might think, what are the legal implications when it comes to trade between countries? Or what are the international agreements that are being impacted by political trade disputes? Thank you so much for watching this video. If you did enjoy it, please do leave a like. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments. We'll get back to you. If you could subscribe, you'll get updates on new videos. And if you have any friends who might be interested in this topic, please do send them the video, share it with them. If you feel like you would benefit from any support, guidance, assistance in your applications journey, please do get in touch using the information on screen now and someone will get back to you. We have a whole range of tutors who are highly qualified in every aspect of the admissions process, and you can be matched with someone who can really assist you on the journey. And as always, best of luck with your applications.